This apartment is under Larry's name, isn't it? Poor Larry, having a moocher like you around. Outsiders should just leave. The mother-in-law, with a smug look on her face, had pushed me to my limit. Tired of her constant misunderstandings, I set the record straight. So, you're saying that you, Isabella, should leave then? My name is Mia, and my husband Larry and I have a marriage as smooth as a well-planned voyage. Larry is a corporate hotshot. He loves his job and works really hard. He's a decent man with a strong sense of justice. We met at work. Back then, I was chasing my dreams and working part-time at Larry's company. I fell for his earnest approach to work, and he admired my pursuit of dreams. We started dating and eventually tied the knot. After we got married, I learned that Larry was more or less estranged from his family. He hadn't been getting along with his parents, and the last time he'd been home was 5 years ago. I wondered why the kind-hearted Larry would distance himself from his parents, but after meeting them, it became clear. They kept fighting, even in front of me, the soon-to-be daughter-in-law. It turns out his parents had a rocky relationship since Larry was a child, always teetering on the edge of divorce. It made sense why Larry would want to keep his distance. I initially thought we could maintain a reasonable distance from his difficult parents, but that changed when we bought a luxury apartment after our wedding. The sunlight here is amazing, and the view is great too. I'm glad we picked this place.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time at home, Mia. We should invest in a comfortable living space.
Even half a month after moving, I truly felt happy about our decision. The daylight pours in through the large windows, and the view of the city lights at night is breathtaking. We even talked about putting a hammock on the spacious balcony.
Okay, I'm off.
Take care, love. As I wave goodbye to Larry going to work, I settle into my chores and work tasks. Just when I turn on my computer, the doorbell rings. Huh? Isabella. On the doorbell camera was my mother-in-law. I ask what she's doing here, but she only demands to be let in. I unlock the door, not having much choice. Rushing to tidy up before my mother-in-law arrives via the elevator, the doorbell rings almost immediately. Isabella, what's going on? Carrying so much luggage? Oh, what a lovely apartment! I heard you moved from Larry, so I looked it up on my phone. Saw this beautiful place and thought I had to visit right away. I open the door to find mother-in-law carrying luggage as if she's about to take an international trip, barging into the apartment without any hesitation. Ah, Mia, I know you're not the most attentive, so bring my luggage to my room, would you? Wait, your room, Isabella? I question her as she gazes out the window, seeming quite content. There was never any plan for mother-in-law to live with us. We don't even have a room for her. I stand there, puzzled. This doesn't sit well with her, and she glares at me. It's my room, okay? This house is so spacious. There should be room for me. I'm going to live here now. What? Am I supposed to stay in the living room forever? Wait, you're moving in? Of course! This is Larry's house, isn't it? I gave birth to him, so what's his is mine. I'm dumbfounded at mother-in-law's audacious proclamation. Seemingly irritated by my inaction, she shouts, "Hurry up, will you?" Feeling anxious, I carried the bags into the empty room, making sure my mother-in-law didn't notice. I quietly called my in-laws' house to ask my father-in-law what was going on. The room was supposed to be for when Larry and I have kids. Having mother-in-law here would throw off all of our plans. I keep calling the in-laws, praying someone will answer, but no one does. I had no choice but to message Larry on WhatsApp to let him know his mom was at our home. Since he's at work, I didn't expect a quick reply. I have to spend time with my mother-in-law until Larry comes home, but I also have work to do. I even have a deadline today. Sitting on the living room couch and watching TV with an arrogant demeanor, my mother-in-law raised her voice the moment I stepped into the living room. "Hey, Mia," she said, sounding irritated. "You have a guest, and you don't even offer a drink? What a useless daughter-in-law." Sorry. I pour her some iced coffee, and as I bring it over, she snaps. "This isn't what I want." The iced coffee splashes onto the floor, the glass shatters. It's a complete mess. But mother-in-law doesn't care. "I want hot tea," she declares. Frustrated, I clean up without saying a word, wipe the floor, and bring her the hot tea she demanded. She's unhappy with the tea bag, griping, "You should use loose leaves, you know." I apologize. I reply, walking away to my room. I can't afford to deal with mother-in-law right now. I can't kick her out until Larry comes home, or I get in touch with my father-in-law. Just as I started getting into work on my computer, mother-in-law walked into my home office without even knocking. Ignoring her as she rudely scrutinized my workspace, I focused on my screen. That's when she let out a loud sigh behind me. "Mia, isn't it nice? You've married a guy with a good income, so you get to enjoy your hobbies in this big, beautiful house." "What do you mean?" "Exactly that." Not caring about my annoyed tone, mother-in-law pointed at the words on my computer screen with a snide smile. "You're an author? I bet it's nothing important. Never heard of your pen name. All I found were some childlike drawings. Even the books in this room are just children's books." "Well, that's because I write children's novels. The dream I had always chased was to become an author. I've loved books since childhood and achieved my dream while dating Larry. The books in this room are, as mother-in-law says, all for children, but they're essential research for my work." Mother-in-law, clueless about the genre of children's literature, scoffed at it. "Must be nice to afford luxury while messing around with child's play. You're basically mooching off Larry." "What?" "Lawrence barely makes any money, is boring at home, and is a terrible person. He's not at all my type." I tuned out mother-in-law's complaints about father-in-law, but she just kept going. I tried to ignore her and focus on my work, but she shouted, "Hey, stop ignoring me and listen." According to her, father-in-law was unattractive, boring, and broke. However, my impression of him was quite the opposite. The one who really left a bad impression was mother-in-law. When I told her I was an author, she didn't even ask what I wrote. "You must be one of those authors who don't sell. You got lucky marrying a high-income, handsome guy like Larry." That day, after the marriage introduction, Larry kept apologizing to me as he drove me home. "My mom is really sorry. he said multiple times. By evening, my mother-in-law just wouldn't stop trash-talking my father-in-law. She talked so much she got thirsty and demanded drinks from me. There was no way I could concentrate on my writing, so I called my editor to apologize for the delay and anxiously waited for Larry to come home. "Once you're done with dinner, you should leave, Mia." As I was cooking dinner to coincide with Larry's return, my clingy mother-in-law threw another curveball. I had been merely nodding and agreeing to her constant complaints about my father-in-law. "What do you mean?" I finally asked. She smirked a wicked smile. "This place is under Larry's name, right? Poor Larry, having to deal with a moocher like you. You should leave." I was at my wit's end dealing with her. I had been subjected to her nagging and insults all day, and my head was pounding. I decided to set the record straight. "So, you'll be the one leaving, Isabella?" "What?" As she looked puzzled, I calmly told her while serving dinner. "This is actually the house I bought. I'm not related to you, Isabella, and Larry's at work right now. So if anyone's the outsider here, it's you, Isabella." "What are you talking about? There's no way someone like you could afford this house. Don't be ridiculous, you're just a third-rate writer." "Don't you ever go to bookstores, Isabella?" "What do you mean?" She furrowed her brow. "I'm actually quite a successful children's book author. My books are prominently displayed in stores, and I receive a lot of fan mail from kids. My work has even been slated for animation." She seemed to have looked me up online, but must have only seen the illustrations and underestimated me. "My works being animated," I added just for emphasis. "So, your books are actually selling, Mia?" "Yes, thankfully." "All right then, you should live here." "What?" Her attitude suddenly changed, and she was all smiles. "You can live here. Just give me $2,000 a month as pocket money. You're making money, so it's only fair." "Why should I give you money?" "Because you're my daughter-in-law. I'm high maintenance and have been putting up with useless Lawrence all these years. Now it's your turn to take care of me." As I was getting more frustrated, I heard the front door open. Larry walked into the living room with an unusually angry face.
"Mom, what's going on? Why did you come without telling us and bother Mia?"
"I wasn't bothering her. In fact, I was being kind. I told her she could live in this house and—"
"What are you talking about? This is the room Mia bought. I don't want to live with you, Mom."
My mother-in-law looked shocked to hear her son's refusal. Right in front of her, Larry shows her his phone screen.
"Mom, you've been having an affair?"
While I'm stunned by the unexpected news, Larry shows me the phone screen too. A photo sent by father-in-law. There's mother-in-law laughing like a young girl with her arm around a young man.
Dad was suspicious of Mom's recent behavior. When he looked into it, he found proven misconduct. Mom's been funneling money from Dad's account to this young guy.
It's not like that. He and I are soulmates. It was just fate that brought him into this world late. We've been connected since our past lives. Hearing mother-in-law suddenly spout such nonsense, I'm taken aback, but Larry isn't. Larry, who'd been warned about mother-in-law's erratic behavior by father-in-law, responds with disbelief.
"Mom, you divorced Dad, right? I heard he moved out. Did you come here because you're low on money?"
According to Larry, father-in-law made mother-in-law sign the divorce papers and then moved out. Mother-in-law, who was left alone, probably came to Larry for money to keep supporting her young boyfriend. Mother-in-law had called me a moocher, but it's clear who the real moocher is. Mother-in-law, now glared at by both me and Larry, begins to tremble and eventually screams defiantly. "Fine, I'll go to him. I was wrong to rely on an ungrateful son like you." She packs her bags in a rage and storms out the front door. As I let out a sigh of relief that mother-in-law is finally gone, Larry apologizes, saying, "I'm really sorry." That night, Larry gets a phone call from mother-in-law. It turns out she went to her young boyfriend but was quickly dumped. Apparently, he's already married and was just using mother-in-law for extra pocket money. Not knowing this, mother-in-law went to confront him at his workplace. She threw her arms around him as he was about to head home. Of course, this attracted attention from his colleagues. In a panic, the man shouted, "Who are you, lady?" and pretended not to know her. After a lot of commotion, it was revealed that he was married. Mother-in-law, crying, tells Larry all of this, begging, "Help me, Larry." Larry refused to help mother-in-law.
Sorry, but I've never liked how you always badmouth Dad, who worked hard all his life. And now you're partying with a young guy using Dad's hard-earned money. I don't even want to see your face anymore. Go live your life on your own."
Mother-in-law's cries could be heard from the phone, but Larry hangs up. From then on, mother-in-law returned to the home father-in-law had left. Strapped for cash, she sold the house and seems to have rented a small room somewhere. Mother-in-law, who had never worked and lived off of father-in-law's income, is now struggling in her first ever part-time job. Larry and I are enjoying peaceful days. Watching the cartoon based on my novel together, I was moved to tears as my dream had come true. Larry hugged me and said,
"Congratulations."
I vowed to live my life without destroying the happiness I had with my wonderful husband and the dream I had pursued for years, just like my mother-in-law had done.